What's going on, everyone? This is the TYSK report. There was some tech news that happened last week that you might have missed, so let's talk about it. Now, first up, we have India backs Musk in satellite spectrum allocation row. The long-running debate over how satellite spectrum would be allocated in India appeared to reach an important milestone on Tuesday. India announced it would allocate spectrum for satellite services through administrative means, essentially setting a price that is payable first come first serve rather than an auction. Now, India's communication minister stated, spectrum for SATCOM is shared spectrum and cannot be auctioned. The administrative allocation of satellite spectrum is practiced worldwide. The issue is significant not just because it helps decide how to divvy up important finite spectrum for new communication services, but because it will likely signal the entry of Elon Musk and his Starlink satellite services into India's lucrative telecom market. Amazon's Project Kuiper, which is also looking to enter India's broadband market, is another new player that has advocated for a shared spectrum allocation. On the other side of the debate, Indian telcos arguably have been trying to restrict his ambitious plans by supporting the idea of an auction. One of the more prominent voices has been Reliance Jio, led by India's richest man, Mukesh Ambani, which has pushed for auctions to ensure a level playing field. Now, Musk had warned on Monday that instituting satellite spectrum auctions would be unprecedented, citing long-standing ITU designations of shared satellite spectrum. India is the world's most populous country with over 1.4 billion people, but it still has a long way to go in terms of closing up its digital divide. There are currently 950 million internet users, meaning that a full 490 million, more than one-third of the population, are still unconnected. Historically, Jio and Airtel have led the telecom sector in India by offering the network across a range of network frequencies. The duo has also been exploring satellite broadband for some months to take on global players like Starlink and Amazon. So Jio and Airtel demand spectrum auctions instead of administrative allocation, as the operator stated the latter could give more space to new players and would be less favorable for the existing contenders. However, the Indian government has continued to prefer administrative allocation for satellite spectrum. So it looks like Jio and Airtel are trying to do things outside of the norm and what's done worldwide, but more than likely the market is going to decide who comes out on top, and it might be more than likely Starlink or Amazon if they have a better product than what Starlink can provide. But the one thing Jio and Airtel needs to think about is what's best for the customers. Is it better for something like Starlink to help these 490 people get connected onto the internet, or is it better for them who have been there to have the title of being the soon to come satellite provider but not being able to provide those services? So it will be interesting to see what happens next. Let's move on to the next article. In other Elon news, SpaceX wins $733 million Space Force launch contract. Now, SpaceX was awarded an 8-launch, $733 million contract by the U.S. Space Force on Friday as part of an ongoing program intended to foster competition among launch providers. The massive new contract is part of a U.S. Space Force Space Systems Command program with the catchy name of National Security Space Launch Phase 3 Lane 1. This third row of contracts has split into 2 lanes last year, Lane 1 for lower risk missions in near Earth orbit and Lane 2 for heavy lift missions in the more demanding orbits. The SpaceX win may seem like a foregone conclusion this time, but with the new launch companies and vehicles coming online in the next few years, the competition may heat up soon. So shout out to SpaceX for getting that contract, and they just came off a great moment of bringing a rocket back into its place from where it launched from. So it will be interesting to see how this plays out, and who knows, Amazon might be building a product in secret and they could be the one that comes out on top in this. So we'll see what happens next. I'll make sure to keep you updated. Let's move on to the next article. Horizon Surgical Systems raises Series A towards robotic eye procedures. Now it says here Horizon Surgical Systems Incorporated, which is advancing microsurgery with artificial intelligence enabled robotics, this week announced that it has closed a $30 million Series A round. The privately held microrobotics company said it plans to use the funding to continue developing its technology platform, progress to in-human studies, and further build out its team. Both our team and investors recognize that our Polaris system is poised to capitalize on the next era in surgical robotics, Enhancing the Surgeon's Natural Capabilities with State-of-the-Art Augmented Visualization by Jean-Pierre Hubschman, MD, founder and CEO of Horizon. Now, the Horizon Surgical System spun out of UCLA in 2021. Its flagship Polaris platform uses surgical robotics, medical imaging, and AI to extend the capabilities of surgeons for eye procedures. With this firm vote of confidence from our investors and leadership, Horizon is moving swiftly towards our first in-human study, said Hubschman. So it looks like robots are moving more into the healthcare space. When it comes to utilizing robots for surgery, I wonder how much more these robots are going to help the doctor be when it comes to efficiency. Is it going to make them 30%, 40%, or even 50% more efficient? If it is, that's amazing. Maybe they'll be able to get certain surgeries done in a quicker manner. Maybe they'll be able to get more surgeries done in a day, in a week, or something like that. But let me ask you this. When it comes to you getting eye surgery, would you prefer to have the doctor alone or the doctor and the robotic surgical tool? Comment down below in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. Let's move on to the next article. DG or DG? Let's go with DG. DG challenges its Chinese military company Pentagon designation in court. DG has filed a lawsuit against the U.S. Department of Defense over its addition to the Pentagon list that designate it as a Chinese military company. In its filing shared by The Verge, the company said it's challenging the designation because it's neither owned nor controlled by the Chinese military. It described itself as the largest privately owned seller of consumer and commercial drones, mostly used by first responders, fire and police departments, businesses, and hobbyists. The company claimed that because the Pentagon has officially proclaimed it as a national security threat, it has suffered ongoing financial and reputational harm. It also said that it has lost business from both U.S. and internal customers, which terminated contracts and refused to enter new ones, and it has been banned from signing contracts with multiple federal government agencies. DG has long been at the crosshairs of various U.S. government agencies. The Department of Commerce added it to its entity list in 2020, which prevented U.S. companies from supplying it with parts without a license. A year later, it was added to the Treasury Department's Chinese military industrial complex companies listed for its alleged involvement in the surveillance of Uyghur Muslim people in China. So it looks like that designation definitely hit DG's pockets really hard, and they can't even maneuver or do things or build out their business even more. So who knows what's going to happen with that, but they have been having trouble with other departments and when it comes to being in the US and probably other countries. But if you did not get your DG drone on time, that is probably why, but we'll see what happens next with this company. Let's move on to the next article. Tesla FSD is under federal investigation after 4 reduced visibility crashes. Now, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is investigating Tesla's full self-driving feature in relation to 4 crashes. The collisions took place in reduced visibility conditions with either the beta or supervised versions of FSD enabled. In a November 2023 incident in Arizona, a Model Y fatally hit a pedestrian. An injury was sustained in one of the other 3 collisions, which occurred between March and May this year and all involved Model 3 EVs. Now, the NHTSA says conditions such as sun glare, fog, and airborne dust lowered visibility in these incidents. The agency's Office of Defects Investigation, ODI, is looking into FSD's ability to detect and respond appropriately to reduce roadway visibility conditions. It will also try to determine if there have been other crashes in similar circumstances with FSD enabled. Now, in April, the NHTSA closed an investigation into hundreds of crashes in which Tesla's autopilot system was engaged. It said 13 of those crashes were fatal. The agency determined that in many of the crashes, the drivers were not sufficiently engaged and that the warnings provided by autopilot when auto steer was engaged did not adequately ensure that drivers maintained their attention on the driving task. So outside of SpaceX and Starlink, it looks like Elon is running into some trouble with Tesla, and coming off of that We Robot event where he displayed the robotaxis and the Robovan as pronounced by him, it looks like he's running into some issues with the FSD technology, but we will see what happens next with this technology because I know that they were planning to roll out unsupervised FSD, but we will see what happens next with Tesla and I will keep you updated. In the next article, Ford tells some EV customers to stop using Tesla's supercharger adapter. So Ford started offering free adapters for Tesla's supercharger network to owners of its EVs in February and is now telling some of its customers to stop using them. The company found a potential issue that could cause reduced charging speeds over time or even damage to the charge port itself. So Ford EV owners should follow the link on Ford's notice to make sure it has the right address on file. If it is, they won't need to do anything else to get their replacement, but if not, the company says customers need to update their address by October 24th. So that was just a quick update about Ford and their EVs. So if you do have a Ford EV, this is just information that would be greatly beneficial to you. But in the world of technology, there's always something interesting happening, always something new happening, and I want to make sure that you stay updated with it. So make sure you subscribe to this channel and stay tuned for the next video.